What is up, friendos? It's the CODphilosopher bringing y'all the second installment of the three-man plan for hardpoint. This is the other theater mode gameplay that I have in this game mode, and I'm going to be playing a support role. This is probably the most exciting role that you can play playing hardpoint, but it may very well be the least important. Now, what my goal is in playing a support role is to, one, put up score streaks that allow my team to better know where the enemy team is. So I'm rocking the UAV and the orbital VSAT. I also have a lightning strike on to help me get to the VSAT quicker. And there's two things that the lightning strike does as far as the support role is concerned that's really nice. So one, it gives you a nice view of the map whenever you're calling streaks in. It allows you to not only know where enemies are, but you can also call those enemies out to your team, adding a lot of importance to your support role, which is the main purpose behind it is to help your team to win. And for the class setup, I'm using Ghost and Hardline and Toughness, as well as Dexterity. And Toughness and Dexterity definitely for knowing that I'm going to be getting into some face-to-face gunfights to try to push the enemy team back and move their spawn around. And this is the role that will probably get the most hardpoint captures, because anytime that the enemy team is on a hard point, you want to be pushing towards it to get the initial capture for your team and then push the enemy team away from the hard point, as well as the role that will probably get the most kills in a hard point game. So it's usually the highest scoring role, but not necessarily the most important. Now, it's imperative that the support player spends a lot of time communicating with the other players on the team, because he's going to be seeing where the enemies are most of the time, because he's going to be staying quite mobile, and a lot of times he won't be able to get shots on someone because they're going to be too far away. I highly recommend a submachine gun for your class setup if you're playing a support role, because you need to be moving around the map quite a bit. In a really large map, I recommend taking hardline off and replacing it with lightweight to move around quicker. But in a map that's got tight corners and stuff, and Mirage is kind of I'd say an in-between. It's a pretty large map, but as far as the way hardpoint plays, it condenses where the fighting is going to be, so hardline isn't a bad option to try to get those support streaks up. And in this game, I end up putting up, I believe, 8 UAVs and 3 orbital VSATs. I come close to the orbital VSAT on a couple times where someone gets a buzz kill on me, but that happens, and end up pushing past it. I do pretty well. I end up going 55 and 11. So 5-1 is not a bad score, especially for someone who's constantly pushing towards the enemy team and trying to get kills and trying to cut them off from making it to the spawn point for your team. But definitely need to stay mobile and definitely run support kill streaks. If not the lightning strike, I would recommend the EMP as the other score streak to use. I don't recommend using the counter UAV, because using the UAV and counter UAV in conjunction makes it real enticing for the enemy team to pull out a rocket launcher. I noticed that a lot of times whenever counter UAV goes up, team will have somebody that switches to their rocket launcher to take out both the counter UAV and UAV. Whereas if it's just a UAV that's up, a lot of times teams won't take them out. That's not necessarily the case in this game, but kind of as a general rule, that's how I feel it goes. But this role might be the least important in the three-man plan, but if played correctly, it can definitely add to the chances of winning in this game mode. I do recommend using a silencer on your SMG because you're going to want to spend quite a bit of time near the enemy team and near their spawn, and having that silencer will give you the opportunity to get kills and not alert them to your position. I'm also using extended mags. It's something that I really like with the MSMC, and stock. And stock I find to be extremely important when playing a role like this, because it allows you to strafe so much quicker that you can basically make the enemy team miss. So you're trying to get out of their bullets, or their bullet stream, and get the kill, and stock definitely helps in doing that. Now, a little bit about this map. This might have been like the third time that I've played hardpoint on it, so you can kind of tell in the gameplay that I'm not too familiar with where the hardpoints and the order that they come up. But I thought it was a pretty good gameplay, and I played the role pretty well. There are some times when I guess there are spots that I should have pushed to that I didn't, but as far as playing it maybe 2 or 3 times, I think I did pretty well. And one thing about score streak management, it's with the UAV, it's not too important. You kind of want to throw that up as soon as possible to give your team the advantage. But with like the lightning strike, using it whenever your team doesn't have a UAV or some sort of aerial view support, using it then to be able to know where the enemy team is and to call them out is a good choice then. And the orbital VSAT, I recommend throwing it up pretty much immediately to give your team a great view of where the enemy is. As far as playing a role with 2 other people, like I said earlier, it's extremely important that the support player does a lot of communicating, while an anchor player that you've already seen the video for is going to play a kind of a backup role. He's going to be controlling your team spawn. He needs to know if the enemy team is wrapping around to him so that he can better set up for them. And as a support player, your job should really be to call out where the other team is and if they'd be moving towards his position so he can get set for them. As well, the OBJ player, whose job is going to be to spend as much time on the hard point as possible, he's going to need to know the enemy team's position for bracing to take them on whenever they're approaching the hard point. Now, whenever you do get a hard point capture, you have to make the decision as to where the enemy team is going to have the most force coming from, and try to cut them off. It's kind of the goal is to keep the enemy team from even making it to the hard point as the support player. And another thing is getting close to streaks. Sometimes this attitude can be abandoned so that you can get a more flanking position, I'd say, on the enemy team and catch them by surprise, which will allow you to, if you're 1 or 2 off of VSAT, maybe taking a longer way to the hard point to try to cut the enemy team off would be a better idea than charging straight at them and trying to push their spawn around, because it's going to catch them, I guess, more with their pants down. which is very beneficial to you, especially if you're going to be throwing up a VSAT for your team. And the gameplay is coming to an end. I hope that y'all enjoyed it and you learned a little bit and you can help implement it into your own gameplay. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.